Today our topic is a very interesting. It's related to fraudonomics. It's related to understanding how fraud currently is happening. How these individuals who got the money, who got the power, who got the influence are corrupting our economy. Hello, my name is Iyad Murtada, and I came from old days to tell you about the history of fraud. I am here to share with you the story of corruption, bribery, fraud from the old days. Some of you think this story is actually funny, or you think I'm using comics to communicate it. But actually, it's it's full of tragedy. It's full of drama. And it's not like the comics. They have an actual heroes in these stories, but these superheroes, they don't have happy ending. At the end of the story, they were not able to stop all these individuals who are trying to do fraud, who are trying to destroy the economy. But because these individuals, they have super ego, they have power, and they were able to do the fraud and steal everything. So let me start by telling you something very interesting about money. We think money is evil, but it's not about money. It's about the individual who got so much money or a little bit money. Who do you think is causing more damage? Who do you think is causing more damage? These guys who got a lot of money or a little bit money? A lot of money, right? But the interesting story about money, that it's not about the individuals who got a lot of money or a little bit money. It's about this. They say it's the lack of money. Some individuals, they have 7 billion, and you ask them, they say, oh, I don't have enough money. And some individuals, they have 5 dirhams, and they say they don't have enough money. But when these individuals who got 5 dirham and they say they don't have enough money, they have 5 billion, you will ask them the question and they say the same. We still don't have enough money. And this is the story. This is the issue that can happen. We call these guys who they don't have money, we call them what? Not billionaires. We call them millionaires. They have nothing, and they are trying to get money. Even these guys who are billionaires, we call them millionaires, because all the amount of money they have, they feel inside them they are not rich. They want more, and they want more and more and more. They believe that corruption is good. It will oil the wheels of the economy. They think if we are living in an environment where everyone is being bribed, in a country where the economy is slow, that will make commerce easy. What is the harm for me, rather than standing in the line or waiting for 5 days to get my business or project approved by the government? It can be done in 1 day. We move the economy faster. Why I need to go and wait for me to win this contract? I can pay some money to the purchasing manager in the government, and I will it today, and we start the implementation quickly, rather than waiting for tender offer will take 6 months. They believe the best way for us to make the economy grow is by paying money, by corruption. And I don't agree with them. Why? Because we consider corruption actually it's tax on who? On the individuals who are living in this country. So someone who is rich, who got the money, they are paying money to corrupted officials for them to be able to make more money, and you as a taxpayer living in that country is actually not only being taxed by the government, but also they are taxing your economy. They are taking advantage of your economy. And there is a very interesting research. When we look at Transparency International research related to corruption index all over the world, we see something very interesting. We see that the countries that they have the lowest level of corruption are the countries that they have the best economy. Wow. If you want to have a strong economy, if you want to have unbelievable growth, if you want to have the country all moving ahead, you need to make sure you reduce the amount of corruption happen in these countries. Because let's discuss what's the meaning of corruption, what will actually happen. They say the main reason why corruption will happen in this country because of the first thing, what we call the institution. So the country, they have institutions, government entities. These government entities, they actually taking the money from the individual who are living in this country as taxes, or they have budget allocated by the government, and they will use this money for them to be able to do education, public services, to grow the economy, to create job opportunities. And suddenly someone will come to these institutions and give them money, so they will be able to take all these resources from this institution to themselves. And what will happen? Not only all these projects that's supposed to be for the individuals who are living in country are gone, but the money that this rich individual paid to the institution is not invested in the country. These officials who are working in the institutions took the money and transferred the money outside the country, offshore. So the money is gone. They say something very interesting in Africa. They said, we know that in some countries in Africa they have corruption. But if these guys who are doing corruption in Africa, they just take the money they took as a bribe and they invested in the country by opening small businesses and projects, Africa will be great. But they actually taking the money, going to Europe and depositing the money in an offshore account. So there is no money, no opportunities, no project, no institutions. So once you limit the corruption, you can see that these countries are going to grow. And when we look at the Middle East, the same. The countries in the Middle East, where you can see UAE #1 in the Middle East in ensuring that their corruption is low, UAE is one of the most growing economy in the Middle East. So economy and corruption, they go in the opposite way. The more corruption you have, the less the economy growth will go. They say, why corruption will happen? They say for something very simple. It's a system. If you have a bad system and a good individual is in that system, the system is not going to work. Because someone is going to tell this individual, you have two options. You will fit in that system and you do whatever everyone is doing, or you are going to go out of the system and that's it. This is the end. So it's all about understanding how can we ensure we have compliance program, we have a system where this is a good system helping us to move ahead. Good institution rather than bad institution. And they say when we speak about corruption, corruption is like a snowball. Once corruption will start, it will not stop, which is interesting. They say in most of these countries where they have corruption, corruption is not starting from the bottom. It's starting from the top. The guy on the top, he say, I want to do some corruption. Now, the guys on the bottom, they are not making money, because who's making money? The head. So they say, well, we do corruption also, because this guy on top, he's not going to stop us. He's already doing corruption. But once these guys in the bottom, they start doing corruption, and the head will hear about it, what he will say? He will say, yes, I'm not going to stop you, but I want my percentage. So now everyone is doing corruption. The issue with corruption is different than anything else. There is a big difference between something we call asset misappropriation, fraudulent financial statement, and corruption. Because once you do corruption, it's like you are testing honey. I don't know if you like honey or not. First, in the old days, I thought, I don't like so much honey. But when I tasted honey and I noticed how sweet and nice it is, I want more honey and more honey. Which is good. Honey is okay. But with corruption, the minute you taste corruption, it's not only sweet for you. Now, if you decide to stop doing corruption, everyone will say, no, you tasted corruption before. So you have two ways. You go to prison, or you continue doing corruption. Because if you are working in one of these institutions, they have evidence you are doing corruption. So they say you continue doing bigger corruption, or we are going to send your file to the anti-corruption unit. And they kick you out, done, finished. So once you do more corruption, they have more information about you. Until then, at the end, the head will leave, someone else will come, the whole department will go to investigation. And this is what happened. They squeeze him. Right? This is how they advertise corruption in this country, because it's related exactly to the operation of that country. So it's very interesting when we see how corruption and what's going on. Now someone will believe that corruption is good because I can do business. Who's believing in that? Mafia. Mafia, they always say corruption is good because we can influence businesses and make money. But they say something very interesting. They say shade business is not going to stay for a long time. It's not going to give you the sunny life. You are going to always live in the dark. You are always afraid when someone is going to come and uncover that you are doing corruption. Now, what is fraudonomics? Our subject today is about fraudonomics. Have you heard about this term before? No, it's a very interesting term. Fraudonomics is defined as economic system as a whole based on fraud. Wow, it's a very big word. What's the meaning of that? The meaning, we are saying someone created your full economy from the beginning and the end. What do you mean by the economy? The regulation that are regulating all your trades, the laws that are implemented for you to understand how you need to do business, determining who got the authority to actually open these businesses, and determining how the wealth will be distributed. If someone got control over the economy, so in that way we call it fraudonomics. He got a full system of fraud-based or economy based on fraud. So let me share with you one interesting story. One of the stories that I have heard in history, which is about this great leader, one of the most powerful leaders in the world, Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar ruled the whole Roman Empire for so many years. But the thing you don't know about, that he started only as a soldier fighting in the Roman army when he was 19. He was nobody. He was just a normal soldier fighting. And the Roman Empire, they were going to be destroyed because they have the Spartans, they were fighting against them, and they decided they want to actually take an action against them, and they were able to succeed in actually winning that war. And then Julius Caesar came back to Rome after the big victory. When he came back to Rome, he was actually interacting with two individuals. He was interacting with the leader of his army, which is, we call him Marcus. He is one of the most influential military leaders at that time, as well as one of the richest person in Rome. He got so much money. So he is a politician, and he got so much money, and he just did a great victory. And he is dealing at the same time with another political leader in Rome, which is, Pompey. Pompey, he is also another leader, and he just also came from war with a great victory. But the first one got the money, the second one got the influence of the whole army. Now everyone is trying to come back after the war to be able to control the economy. So this guy, he said, I want tax cut. I want to be able to get all the money I want and be able to generate more. This guy, he said, I want the Roman Empire to divide the lands that we conquer for all the soldiers that they were with me, so they can gain after the war. And they decided to go to the Senate. In Roman Empire at that time, they don't have a king. They have a Senate made out of hundreds of senators, and they come and they meet and they decide the business in Rome. So these guys, they are sitting fighting. This guy will stop the regulation for the other guy, and this guy will stop the regulation for the other guy, and they are not moving ahead. So Julius Caesar, he was smart. He noticed that there's a big conflict, and he had to stand with this person or this person. And from his experience in the old days, what happened to his dad? His dad decided to stand with one person alone, and because of that there was a civil war, and he was on the bad side, so he lost. So he was afraid that which side he should stand in. He decided to do something that never done before in history. He decided to do something interesting. He went to a place, and he invited both of them. Both of them knock on the door, and when the door opened, they discover that they are meeting with Julius Caesar, and they are meeting together. And they asked Julius Caesar, why you invited us to come to this place to meet with each other? We don't like each other. Julius Caesar, he said, yes, I understand. And this is why I invited you. Let's do something different. Rather than fighting and both of you will lose, what about you come together and we work together so we make sure your regulations are going to be implemented and we have a full control over the economy. They say, what do you mean? How can we do this? Because they know both of them, if they want to actually control the senates, they need to be having a very important position. We call it the council. So there is a position in Rome called the Council of Rome, which is the most powerful position in Rome. This person, he is the person who is managing the Senate. But they know that the Senate will not elect any of them because they have issues with the Senate and they have conflicts. So Julius Caesar, he said, easy. The Senates, they don't know me. How about both of you, you influence the Senates to elect me, to move from a normal soldier to have the most powerful position in Rome for me so I can be the consul, and I will make your tax cut regulation go through, and I will make the wealth distribution for your soldier go through. And I can make it happen. I will work for you. I am just the face and you are going to actually tell me what you need and I will make it happen. Now both of them, they say, how can we trust you? And why after we elect you as a consul, maybe you will say no and you do whatever you want. So for him, he had to give guarantees. So for Marcus, he told him, I will invest with you in your businesses. So if you make more money, I will make more money. And for Pompey, he said, I will make you marry my daughter. So in that way, you are part of the family. So they agreed. And they created the most powerful alliance in history. Now he was elected as a consul. And now both of them, they were so happy that now all the regulations are going to be implemented. So he went to the Senate and he told them, we need to do tax cut. The Senate, they said no. He said, we want to distribute the land. The Senate, they said no. Why? Because the system that was running in Rome, it was a system that's very slow. The Senate, they don't agree on anything, on any decision. So for so many meetings, nothing happened. So these two guys, they came to him and they said, listen, very simple. We elected you to make it happen. If you will not make it happen, we will not support you anymore. And that's when it was disaster. Why? Because they were like, he was like, what I need to do for me to win? I'm not going to lose at this point. Julius Caesar, he was not only smart, he was driven. Driven by one thing. Driven by glory. He would like to be the most powerful man on earth. And he will not let anything stop him. So what he decided to do? He decided to do a very interesting technique. He hired street thugs to go and attack the senators that they are not supporting his regulations. Wow, it was fantastic. Why? Next meeting, who will accept the tax cut? Everyone. Who will accept the distribution? Everyone. No one is opposing him anymore because they know they can die. So he controlled the full senates. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Amazing, right? Great concept. But now, because he is using influence, power, he is using mafia operation for him to run the show, all these senators, they didn't like him. So the next time when they are going to do election and decide who is going to be the consul, definitely they don't want him to be the consul. Because if he will rule, they will die. So what happened? Pompey and Marcus, they understood that this is the situation. So they went to him and they said, hey, thank you so much for these regulations. We are benefiting so much. But we would like to tell you that for the next time, you are not going to be elected as a consul. He said, what? I helped you and I supported you. And now you are saying, no, I'm not going to be elected. Oops, I'm going to lose. And they told him, yes, unfortunately, this is what's going to happen. We don't need you anymore. We already have our regulations. We are already doing business. Now, we don't want to use influence. We will elect someone else who can help us. Or if he's not going to help us, at least he will not work against us. But your position is threat. We don't want you anymore. What do you think? He was happy at that time? He was so angry. He is going to move from being the most powerful man to no one. They told him, but don't worry. As a reward for your effort, we are going to allocate a city on the border of Rome and we are going to send you there. You can rule that city and you can stay there until the rest of your life and you will have a good life and we will give you some money so you will live a good life. But he was not happy with that. he likes to do action. He is demanding something more than that. So he agreed with them because he got no other option. He moved to that land and he did something unbelievable. What he did? He moved to that land. He took all the soldiers that are in that city and he decided, without approval from the Roman Empire, to go and conquer the world. He took all the soldiers he got and he said, let's go. So the soldiers, they thought what? Because he's the leader of that city, that these are the instructions coming from Rome, we need to go. And he decided to go and conquer the most powerful enemy that Rome that had at that time. They called the Gaul in the area where now we call it France. They were very powerful, but Julius Caesar, he said, I can do it by going one city by one city, destroying one city by dividing and conquering. And he started winning and winning and winning and winning and winning. And of course, he started writing all his stories of success and sending that to Rome. So everyone in Rome is hearing about his success and they are thinking, what? He was sent by Rome to do all this unbelievable success. No one questioned him. Of course, the Senates, they were not happy. Of course, Rome, government, they were not happy. But everyone said Julius Caesar is the most powerful military leader because he was able to do what no one can do before. Now remember, to reach glory in the old days, you need to have money, power, or the military behind you. Now, money and power, he got not so much. He lost already the power, and money not so much compared to the rest of Rome, but he got now the military behind him. Because everyone in the military is now thinking about him. Even some of the military that are in Rome, they went to fight with him. They believe this is the dream for us to control the whole world. After so many successes, and after having a wonderful army, he decided to come back to Rome with his army. He went all the way back to Rome. Now, before entering Rome, just before entering, he received a message from who? From Pompey. Because at that time, Pompey, he was the consul. He told him, listen, what you did is actually not approved by Rome. It's not approved by me. It's not approved by the Senates. So we consider you as a criminal. You are war criminal. And you are going to come because we need to do a judgment against you and decide what will happen to you. We promise you, if you leave your army and you come alone, we will give you a fair trial. But if you decide to come with your army, we are going to actually arrest you and we are going to consider you as a criminal. When he heard that, he was not happy at all. So what he decided? He decided to take all his army and attack Rome. At that time, the Senates and the consul, which is Pompey, they were afraid, so they decided to run all the way and take boats and run out of Rome. And they left Rome empty because they understood they can't stop him. So he entered Rome and everyone, all the people there, they were celebrating. This is the great leader that they dreamed to see. This is the guy who conquered the whole world. And now, Caesar is actually, Julius Caesar, he is actually the most powerful leader inside Rome. But the enemy is still outside. The Senates and Pompey, they are outside. And what they are doing, they are calling all their friends, all the other countries that they have alliance with, saying, we would like an army to actually fight against Caesar because he took Rome from us. Caesar was so fast, he decided to take boats and go after them, and then he was able to destroy them and kill Pompey, and he won the war. And he told the Senates, you have two options. You can leave Rome or you can come back with me. Some of them, they came back, and now he is back in Rome. The Senates are there. He is the consul. But it's not enough for him because he understood as long as the Senates are in control, he will not have control. So what he decided to do? He decided to do something no one did. Oh my God, what he decided to do? He decided to do something unbelievable. He decided to break the law. He decided to break the law and seize power. So because he is the consul, he said, we are going to have a new regulation. And if you don't support me, you know what's going to happen to you. You remember the old days? Yes, we are going to go after you. But now I don't want to do it every time because I'm bored. I want to do it in a different way. I'm going to break the law. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell you the following. I am going to appoint myself as the emperor. In the old days, no king, no emperor, only a council managing the Senate. So I'm going to be an emperor. The meaning of it, because I am the emperor, if I say something will happen, I don't want you to approve or not approve. It will happen. I have the ultimate authority. Your opinion is not needed. And he became the first emperor ever who ruled Rome. And now he seized all the power. He can decide what's going to happen, and it will happen. And now he's so wealthy because he can say, this will happen, this will happen. He had his own castle. He's living amazing life. But what happened? He noticed that he is getting sick. And he noticed he is getting worse and worse day by day. And he was afraid that his son, his wife, all his life will be destroyed after. Because it's only these couple of years that he's going to live, and then everything finished. So he decided to do something no one thought about. He decided to do the biggest hit ever. He decided to appoint himself as the emperor for lifetime. The meaning that after he will die, his son will be the emperor. And after that, his son will be the emperor. He will have the ultimate control forever. So for him, he said, I want to have the absolute control, absolute power. And of course, we know that power tends to corrupt, but absolute power will corrupt completely. It will corrupt everything. So once that happened, of course, the Senates, they were not happy. The senators, they said, this is completely not acceptable in Rome. So what they did, they decided they want to kill him. But if someone will go and kill him, it's a big issue. Because all these senators are from very well-known families. So they decide to go, all of them, and kill him at the same time. So his blood will go between all the individuals who are doing the crime. So no one can say, this is the murderer or this is the murderer. He will die, and after that they move on. And this is what they did. They killed him. They say, we can't have that anymore. Very interesting story of power and corruption. It's all about understanding how someone would like to control the economy. All these three leaders at the end, they died because of the same reason. They want to gain power, money, and influence to get the glory they want. Interesting story, right?
Yes, right.
You will see exactly that. How can someone move from a soldier to be the greatest leader? But if his practices are not the right practices, at the end he will not survive. Now let's speak about economy. We love economy. We studied economy in our school, right? How many of you studied this microeconomy, this macroeconomy, and you were speaking about elasticity, and you are speaking about demand and supply, all this nonsense. Unbelievable nonsense. Why they are unbelievable nonsense? Because in real life, economy is completely different story. Do you know, there is one of my friends, he is working in economy, and he is an economic advisor. So he told me one day he went to the library and he found a book. The book is very interesting. Say, if you buy this book, you can solve 50% of your problems. So he said, no issue. He bought 2 copies, so now he solved all his problems. This is how economy is happening. Someone saying 1 + 1 will be 2, done, we fix the economy. No, in real life it's different. However, they say, if you look at economy from art, economy is always beautiful. We'll create all these nice charts that you use the calculation and will come with the right, answer. But it will not happen in real life. In real life, we need to zoom in to understand what will actually happen in economy. They say economy is the art of making the most of life. That's the definition of economy. Now, I don't know how you are going to make the most of life. Some individuals, they do it legally. Some individuals, they do it illegally. And that's exactly the difference. But all of them, they are trying to make the most out of the life that they have. Now, someone said that with commerce, with economy, corruption will come. It's impossible to have business and not have corruption involved, because the minute you are trying to make money, someone will try to find a shortcut to make that money. Right? This is what will happen. Everyone is wandering around thinking, okay, we are gonna build and run the economy as an economic advisor, and we are not accounting for all these multipliers, all these issues that are happening. When we speak about economy, they say economy is a very sensitive organism. The meaning of it, if we come with all these economic theories and we try to implement it by saying, okay, government is going to increase the interest rate, government is going to inject money in the economy, government is going to actually create these new projects for the economy to go faster, all this is going to have multiple effects and different effects. It's not going to have the direct effect that we study in economic theories. Now, different individuals who study economy, they can tell you that there are multiple ways for us to change the economy, to make it slower, faster, or make it grow at certain speed. Let's watch this video.
60-second adventures in economics. Number 1, the invisible hand. An economy is a tricky thing to control, and governments are always trying to figure out how to do it. Back in 1776, economist Adam Smith shocked everyone by saying that what governments should actually do is just leave people alone to buy and sell freely among themselves. He suggested that if they just leave self-interested traders to compete with one another, markets are guided to positive outcomes as if by an invisible hand. If someone charges less than you, customers will buy from them instead. So you have to lower the price or offer something better. Whenever enough people demand something, they will be supplied by the market, like spoilt children, only in this case everyone's happy. Later free marketeers, like Austrian economist Friedrich Hayek, argued that this hands-off approach actually works better than any kind of central plan. But the problem is economies can take a long time to reach their equilibrium and may even stall along the way. And in the meantime, people can get a little frustrated, which is why governments usually end up taking things into their own more visible hands instead.
Interesting. So always the old discussion between all these economic advisors who are running all the countries between these two different models. What are they? Should we have a free market, and should we have individuals doing everything in the right way, or should we have regulations to regulate the market? What they are afraid if these guys, they do it on their own, there are no controls, there is going to be corruption, there's going to be fraud, consumers will suffer, and there are no regulations to guide everything. And they also afraid that if they have controls in place and they have so many regulations, what's going to happen? Economy will be slow and will be not able to do business, and the cost will be high because it's the cost of compliance with the economy. Now, wherever the government will decide to do, it's exactly like this story. It's the story of Mr. Albert and Mrs. Susie. So look at the story of Mr. Albert and Mrs. Susie. You need to consider that Mrs. Susie is the government, and you need to consider that Mr. Albert is actually the business. So the story goes like this. Mr. Albert decided to rent an apartment with Susie. So the apartment is actually, she is living in 2-floor apartment. He is going to be on the higher floor and she is going to be on the lower floor. But the apartment floor made out of wood. So every time he is walking around, he is making noises. That's fine, as long as it's daytime. During the night, if he will make noises, he will wake up Miss Susie and she will not be happy. So Albert, he is actually a business. He is innovating new products. So what will happen? While he is sleeping in the middle of the night, an idea will come. And he will say, wow, I need to go work on this idea. So he will get out of his bed and he decides to leave the apartment because he is making noises to actually go and work on his innovation. Mr. Susie will wake up and will start screaming at him and will tell him, don't do it. If you keep doing this, I will kick you out of the apartment and you will be in the street. Now, first day, second day, Mr. Susie, she told him, this is the last time, the last warning. If you actually gonna go and leave the house and make the noises, you are out of the apartment. All right. Next day, he slept. While he is sleeping at 1 a.m. in the morning, he came up with an idea. He woke up and said, wow, amazing idea, I need to go work on it. But he remembered. Mrs. Susie said, don't make noises. Now he said, what should I do? Right? This is, he got the free will to leave, right? Anyone saying you are not allowed to go? Or anyone saying you have to stay? No, he got the option. He can choose to go outside and work on his new idea, and maybe he will upset Miss Susie, or he can actually sit in the bed and do nothing. He thought about it. After half hour, he said, what the hell, I will work on it tomorrow. So he decided to continue sleeping. Now in the morning when he wake up, he lost the idea. The idea is gone. And he was very upset. However, he was not that upset because at the end of the day, he made his own choice without anyone influencing him. Except that he doesn't know that Mr. Susie actually locked the door. So even if he will decide to go, he will not be able to go because the door was locked. Because she said, Khalas, I don't want him to actually leave the house if he decide to go at this time. Now, do you believe that Mr. Albert, he got a free will for him to leave or not? What do you think? Look at this interesting story. He believed. He doesn't know that the door was locked because in the morning she unlocked the door. He believed that he made his decision with complete free will because no one influenced this decision. He decided whatever best for him and he made it, but he lost his idea. But she actually restricted him from doing whatever he's supposed to do. And this is exactly how the economy is running. When you are running in the economy, most of these decisions that you make based on the regulations that are there for you to be in compliance, they are actually controlled indirectly with the invisible hands by the government, the regulators. But sometimes you will feel the influence, sometimes you don't feel the influence. And this is where the idea of corruption will come, where these individuals, they start to manipulate these rules. To make you feel the rules exist and they don't exist, or make you feel the rules they exist but and they don't exist but actually they exist. And that's the story. The story is all about, do we have these regulations that was imposed by the government, and are they imposed only on you, and others they are running away because they are able to pay bribes or influence the system? And do they actually exist, or the guy telling you they are exist just to make it hard for you? This is exactly how fraud and corruption is happening all over the world. The story is very simple. We believe that the stock market and the economy, they are linked together, but they are actually not. If the economy is doing great or the economy is doing bad, the stock market is not reflecting that. But we believe all the time that the stock market will be affected by the economy, which is true. But not all the time economy will be affected by the stock market. So this is the story that we don't know sometimes. We think that if a country, they have their economy advancing, that the whole country will advance. And that also is not necessary. Some countries, they have unbelievable economy, but actually the individuals who are living in that economy or that country, they are not progressing and they are not finding the jobs. Why? Because most of these economies is going to hands of certain individuals in that country because there is corruption, and this money is actually going offshore. So the country is not progressing, even the economy is great. They have the resources, they have the power. So it's exactly like this. They say in the world we are living in, 1% they own, 99%, and the rest 99% they only have 1%. And these guys, they are saying, how come you were able to have this 1%? What's the reason? Now, how these individuals, some of them, they really worked hard to get that 1%. But some of them, they were able to do corruption. And you hear in the stories in the news every day that this guy, he is rich, he's been operating for 20 years, he's doing big scam. Like Bernie Madoff doing scam for 65 billion over 30 years. And everyone lost. So we hear it day in and day out. The story, it comes like this. We need to understand based on psychology. My master's degree is not in business. It's not in finance. It's in business psychology. Understanding why someone will decide to do fraud or corruption. So they said for someone to do fraud and corruption, they need to be in one of these three scenarios. They need to be in what we called ID. What's the meaning of ID? Someone is doing fraud because they just need to meet their basic need. They want to eat, they want shelter. That's it. They are trying to meet their basic need. Now, what are our basic needs? Some would say, I don't want food, I want internet, Wi-Fi, right? So they try to steal any Wi-Fi around. So they just want basic need. They just want to live. Of course, this guy, he's maybe here in UAE, his salary is 400 dirhams. He's just stealing another 10 dirhams for him to have extra money. Yes. Now another guy, he is here. He is working in UAE and his salary is 20,000 dirham. He got nice life, but he say, no, I need bigger car. I need nicer house. I need more and more and more and more. So he will do fraud. But these two guys, they will not do so much fraud. But when they move here, they will have what we call super ego. This is the guy that he got in the bank $9 billion, and then he's saying 10 billion is much nicer. You have 9 billion. You will spend every day 1 million and you are still okay. Why you want the 10? Why you are willing to sacrifice your life, do corruption, be under all this pressure? Because they want to have more. They are not satisfied with it. They say that all of us, we think that money, power, and fame is what we need for us to be able to get the glory. But we forget that once we get any of them, sometime it will change us. Because currently we don't have it. And if we are not prepared, if we are not ready for it, sometime it will change how we look at things. Now let me do an exercise with you. These three things: power, fame, and money. We have power, we have money, and we have fame. Fame, you are influential. Like you are on social media, or you are an artist, you are influential person. Power, the meaning you are a CEO, or you have a high position in government, or you have a high, influence from, managerial standpoint. Money, you are rich, you have a lot of money. What is your priority? Think about it for a second. If I ask you which one is more important for you, now all of us, we need the three. Some of us, we say we only need one. You will find so many rich individuals who are living in Asia. They will say, I don't care about power. I don't want to be CEO of anything. I don't care about fame. I just want to have a lot of money in the bank and invest the money and make money and relax home. But most of us, we like these three things. So think about it. What is the order for you? Is it for you the order? You want money first, then power, then fame? Or is it you want fame, then power, then money? That's exactly how your life is running.
What bring what? What bring what? Power bring money or money bring power?
This is the interesting thing. If you are a social media celebrity in UAE and everyone is following you, now you can start demanding money for promoting all these services. So now that influence, that fame will bring you the money. And sometimes because of that fame, that can bring you power because they want you to actually go there and work here and have certain positions. So how it will come, it depends on your life. But where you go first. Some individuals, they say, first I will have the money, and based on the money I can actually run a business and I will have the power, and based on that I will be a successful entrepreneur and I will have the fame. So what is your order? Because this is how our life is driven. This is where. Are you working in government job? Because in government job, the money is good, but most likely it's about the power. Or are you working in a business? Because here where you make the money, it's not so much power, it's powerful, but this is where you make the money. Or you are working as an artist, or you are working in an area where you influence, so you have that. All of us, we need it, which is interesting. But because of these three elements, we get corrupted. Because if we believe this is what we want, sometimes we are willing to do anything. We are okay with anything to go to it. So look what they say. Money does not change people. It will unmask them. How many of your friends, they were okay. The minute they get the money and they are rich, they don't speak with you anymore. They feel you are down, they are up. Interesting. What money can do to individuals. Can show their true color. Which is very interesting. So this guy is a bad guy, but he got no money, he is nice to you. When he got the money, he doesn't care about you anymore. Wow, right? Look at this. Money. When someone will see money and will have that money that he's dreaming for all his life, what will happen? They say, be careful who you trust in life. Why? Because the devil is an angel. Before. The same. The guy with no money, he was cool. Once he got the money, he became completely different animal. They say if you think money is what you need, you will do anything possible to get it. And this is what will happen. Individual would say, if I get this money, I will have everything. So I'm willing to do everything to get that money. So who is actually more influenced with money? We say individuals who are dealing with money. Who are they? Bankers. Individuals who are working in financial services, they dream, they talk about money. Money for them is like water. So what bankers they do? Do you think bankers, when they are creating all these financial services, all these credit cards, they want your life easy? They are lending you the money? They care about you actually having all these rewards, and they love you, and they give you this free refrigerator for free when you apply for all these credit cards? No. Bankers, they do this. Bankers, they actually lend you an umbrella when it's sunny, and they take it with you when it's raining. That's what they do. So they are in the business of understanding how they can use the money against you, because they will make money only when you lose money. And this is why we have, the crisis, the housing bubble, because they are just trying to sell houses and give you all this money for this to happen. The crash happened, and all of us lost. But banks lost? No. Banks, they didn't lose. Banks, they were able to restructure everything, and they start making more money. So banks will lose. If we lose, banks will lose. Will make money if we win. It doesn't matter. They understand the system. What about power? They say power doesn't corrupt people. Usually we corrupt the power. If you don't have power, you are okay. The minute you have power, you start saying, your cousin will come to you. Say, oh, don't worry, cousin. I can make it happen. You feel because you have that power, you can actually do favors. You can do things that you couldn't do before. And that's what will happen. They say power doesn't corrupt, but the fear of losing the power. The minute you have that power, the minute you have this lovely chair, you don't want to lose this chair. So you will do everything possible for you to hold into this chair. You are willing to do corruption, fraud, anything, but you just want to make you are sitting on that chair. And that's the story of power. No one would like to lose that power because they died to get to it. Remember the story of Julius Caesar. It's the power. They say before you acquire great power, you need to really get a training. You need to understand how can you deal with power. Because the minute you are powerful, they say it's not you. See, money will change you. Power is different. They say money will change you, but power will change people around you. You are nobody, nobody will look at you. You have money, some people will look at you. But when you have power, everyone will respect you. You are the head of the ministry. Everyone, sir, yes, you won't come, yes, anything, please. When you are not the head of ministry anymore, no one will even say good morning. You are nobody. Only when you are on this chair, they are respecting, which is interesting. Look how interesting. It's the power. It's changing the people around you. So they say something very interesting. If you don't want anyone to find out, don't do it. So these individuals who are doing all this corruption and fraud, they are thinking no one will find out. This is why they do it. And then what will happen? They discover that someone is going to find, so they go and do splash. The meaning, they actually mud the water so no one will see what's actually happening. These individuals who are trying to gain more and more, they try to influence the system. So let's go over a very interesting story. This is a very interesting story about two billionaires. They live in Brazil. Actually, they took over a multi-billion-dollar business called GBS, and this business is a conglomerate. They own so many businesses all over the world. Imagine they have billions, and they are running a very nice operation. However, they decided they want more. So over 10 years, they went and they took loans from Brazilian National Bank. They took loans from the taxpayer that people are paying in Brazil for them to be able to go and buy businesses all over the world and control so many corporations. And they were able to do this by paying bribes to all these individuals in government and in the bank and in different businesses. And they had more money, they had more money, they had more money. They said they had tens of billions just because they were able to actually do this. Before they had around 3 billion, then they got more. The 3 billion is enough. Would you like to go and do all this corruption for you to get 10 billion, 20 billion? Now they did this over 10 years. However, at one certain point in time, what happened, which is very interesting. The anti-corruption unit discovered in Brazil that these guys, they are doing corruption. So they told them, listen, we would like you to actually record some of the conversation when you are going to the government and bribing the government, because we need to take action against the current government that we have in Brazil. Or we will go take action against you. So they start now working for the anti-corruption. And they lost so many of the wealth that they had because they are involved in corruption. They took the remaining money and they involved in insider trading. Then they went after them and they went to prison. And they lost everything. In 10 years, they moved from being billionaires to go to prison. Because they want more influence. They want more power. And that's the story of corruption. That's the story of greed. They say at the end of the day, we are working on two things, fraud and greed. And they say fraud is the daughter of greed. All of us, we need to achieve this glory. And we can do it by doing very hard work. Or we can decide maybe there is a shortcut that can get us there. Because I want the power today. I want the money today, I want the fame today, and I don't want to work for it. And if I can have the three, I will control the economy, and FRAUDONOMICS will happen. Thank you very much.